Wow, beautiful. Well, you all know today's speaker quite well, most of you anyway. I see a couple of new faces today. But I need to shine a spotlight on this person a little bit. She's been actively involved in this community since before this community was a twinkle in the founder's eyes. She's been here from before the beginning. It's kind of a Zen thing to say, but it's true. And as long as I've been here, these services and much more would simply not happen without her. And now she's doing the books, the banking, making sure we have programs and printed music and sales after the service. The list just goes on and on. She has served in every position possible on the board of directors, to say nothing of her being the longest standing practitioner on our soul support team. And for the past couple of years, I've had the absolute pleasure and delight of training to be a minister with Susan. If this community, if Awakening Ways were a tree, Susan would be the soil. She would be the roots, the mighty trunk and branches, the leaves, the air, and the very sun itself. And now, through her talk this morning, we get to taste the fruit born of all of this. So, to a truly amazing being, Susan Jones.
Oh, Delon, that was devilish, because now my eyes are kind of all blurry here. Thank you so much. That is so sweet. Oh my gosh, thank you all for being here. I love every one of you, and I feel your love right back at me. So for this month of April, we've been looking at the seed of awakening, vulnerability, and we've had several definitions of vulnerability that we have looked at. So imagine my surprise when I Googled the word, and this is what I read. Vulnerability is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. Doesn't that make you want to be vulnerable? Yeah. Right? So from this definition, you can really get the idea that vulnerability requires a certain amount of safety preparation. Like homes on a riverbank that are vulnerable to flooding need to shore up their foundations. They need to protect their house from the possibility of a flood. When my husband and I were in Wichita Falls, Texas, for a little visit, I noticed that everywhere we went, there were signs that said tornado shelter, storm shelter here. Like if you went to the grocery store, there was a picture of a swirling tornado saying, come here, in the case of a tornado. And there were also signs that would tell you where to dial in your radio to get information. Wichita Falls is in what they call Tornado Alley, which goes straight up kind of the middle of the United States from Texas through Oklahoma and Kansas and on up. Now, the people who live there have some sense of safety in that they know that they're in Tornado Alley, and so their communities are somewhat prepared for that. Now, recently I just saw that the scientists are telling us that Tornado Alley is moving east. And so the problem with that is that the places to the east of Tornado Alley aren't ready for that. And so people in Tornado Alley are putting out messages, YouTube videos, TikToks, and every other thing to help people know what they can do, help communities know what they can do to provide that safety. One thing that seems pretty clear to me is that if you make a conscious choice to be vulnerable, you need some degree of safety. But sometimes vulnerability can create safety. About 20 years ago, I saw a very good example of this when I took my Jack Russell Terrier Moose to dog school. He was a puppy, and he was about the size of a guinea pig. And the trainer said, the first thing we're going to do is have the dogs meet each other. And so she paired us up, and she picked a large Labrador Retriever puppy for Moose to be greeted with. And so we paired up and we met, and all of the hair on Moose's body went shooting out. His fangs were bared, and he started snarling and barking at this Labrador Retriever. And what she did was she just laid down, rolled over, and showed him her belly. This big puppy instinctively showed her vulnerability. And what was her message? I'm not a threat. I won't hurt you. In fact, I'm showing you that you could hurt me if you wanted to. And what did Moose do? He stopped in his tracks. He didn't know what to do, so he calmed right down. His aggressiveness dialed back so many notches. This lab's vulnerability created safety for herself and for Moose. Now, my sister in Texas told me a story about she decided she was going to buy a saddle from some folks in a nearby town, and they made an arrangement for her to meet at their ranch to pick up this saddle, and they had a certain time that they picked. So when she got there, she noticed the gate was shut, but it wasn't locked. And so she figured, I'm going to go up to the front door and I'll just ring the doorbell. So she parked outside the gate. She let herself in through the gate. And as she was about halfway to the house, around the corner came two Doberman pinschers, snarling, snapping, barking. Their hair was sticking up. So Anne decided that the only possible way to have a good outcome was to be vulnerable. And so she got down and she said, come here, you guys, come here. Look at you, cute. Oh, you guys are so cute. And these dogs just stopped and went, oh, she loves us, you know. So she created, by her vulnerability, a good outcome for herself and for the dogs and for the owners of the dogs as well. Now, when I was 16 years old, I graduated from high school and I moved to San Francisco, right? I had a friend there and we were roommates, and the only place we could afford to live was in a pretty scary neighborhood. It was a pretty scary neighborhood. But every morning, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a job, so every morning when I would leave my apartment, there would be some of these guys that would be kind of propped up against the side of the building. They'd have a paper bag with probably a beer in there or some other beverage of choice. And one or the other of them would say, hey, little mama. Hey, little mama, where are you going? And I'd say, I'm going to a job interview. I'm going to get a job today. And they would go, well, good luck, little mama. Good luck. Bless you on your way. They would just... Nobody ever gave me any trouble about anything. Now, you could call this youthful naivete, like when kids put on plays or they just sing their hearts out, or maybe they create art that you look at it and you think, yowie, like I don't know what that is. But for the most part, kids feel safe to express themselves because they haven't yet developed fear and shame that's so common when we grow up. When I moved to San Francisco, I was just fully open-hearted. I wasn't scared of people. I wasn't scared of the big city. And I felt oneness with everyone, and I shined my light. Marianne Williamson, in her book, A Return to Love, said, as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence actually liberates others. This is how our vulnerability can actually create safety, because it is a message to others that I'm not a threat. I won't hurt you. The conscious choice to be vulnerable comes from a sense of wholeness, of knowing that there's nothing missing in you. You are so loved and supported by Spirit that you don't have to fear rejection by another person. This is a feeling of safety. But what causes us to shut down our true selves and protect ourselves from vulnerability? Other people's judgment and criticism, especially our parents and teachers, bullies at school, even well-meaning people who think they are protecting you from hurt by hurting you. So when I was in first grade, my girlfriend and I were getting ready to have some fun and play in the backyard of our house. And as we were going out into the backyard, my mom said, "Be careful, don't let the dog out." We had a little dachshund. And as we got involved in our play and we kind of forgot everything we were told to do, we opened the gate, and our dog ran out and got hit by a car right in front of us. And here's what I remember. I remember being in the kitchen, and my parents were holding each other, and they were crying. And I was down there around their knees, and I had my arms trying to go around their legs. In that moment, I made 3 decisions. I'm separate from those I love. They don't see me. They don't understand me. I spent a lot of years of my life pretending to be great because I had a belief that no one would ever really know how I feel, and if I told them, they wouldn't understand. I'm so grateful for this teaching because through spiritual counseling with a practitioner, I uncovered this memory that had been influencing my life for 30-plus years. All it took was for the practitioner to say, "Tell me about the first time you can remember feeling that." And boom, the memory just showed up. I've been able to really examine my hidden beliefs and realize how they have created feelings of separation. Once the belief was discovered, I was able to understand what was going on with me and choose a different belief, one that supports and empowers me. How many of you are aware of childhood memories that were the source of beliefs you created for yourselves? Yeah, I see how you can relate to this. Most of them probably happened before you were the age of 10. These memories are stored in our brains, and they can't be erased, but they can be managed. Ernest Holmes used the metaphor of a picture gallery to describe our memories. He said that our memories are like pictures hanging in a gallery, each one representing a specific experience or event in our lives. These memories are always present in our consciousness, but we choose which ones we want to focus on. Just as we can choose to look at a specific picture in a gallery, we can choose which memories to focus on in our minds. Vulnerability is an invitation to examine our thoughts and beliefs and to identify limiting patterns that might be blocking our growth and well-being. By acknowledging our vulnerability and opening ourselves up to new possibilities, we can release these limiting beliefs and create a more expansive and joyful life. Ernest Holmes emphasized the importance of authenticity and honesty in spiritual practice. This is really an invitation to embrace vulnerability. But being honest about our feelings and experiences requires a willingness to be open and vulnerable with ourselves and others. And we need to be vulnerable with God. By not being afraid to be our true self with God, warts and all. Remembering that God created us, so we are safe to be as vulnerable as we want in our relationship with God. When you are vulnerable with Spirit, you are saying, "I don't know what to do here. I'm listening. Show me." In God, we have space to be seen without judgment because God loves us exactly as we are and wouldn't change one thing about us. Being seen for who we know we truly are is what everyone craves. I'm going to show you what I mean about that. Now, don't get scared, but what I would like you to do is find a person near you and be able to face each other. I'd like you to pair up. If you're really too terrified to do this, don't worry about it, but I urge you, this is safe. Safe, safe, safe. So just face one another. Does everybody who wants a partner have one? Yeah? Anybody? Are we good? Get it? You can do 3. You can do 3 because there's no talking. We're not going to have to talk or share or anything like that. Oh, here comes Tony. All right, we good? Are we good? No? Do you have a person? That's cool. That's totally cool because there's not going to be talking or anything. It's just an experience, okay? All right, so take this moment. As you're kind of facing each other, close your eyes. I know, settle down. It's a little triggering. Just settle down. Close your eyes. If you're on Zoom, if you're with someone, you could try this. Even if you're alone, you could try this with a mirror, if you're near a mirror in your house. Okay, so take a moment, close your eyes, and bring your attention to the center of your body, the center of your being, that place where the pilot light of the divine is always lit. That light and that love is always in the center of you. And I ask you to focus on that light and turn that pilot light up. Fill your heart and your body with that love and that light of the divine. Feel it warming you and moving throughout your entire body. And when your body becomes so full with that light and that love, it just extends out from you. And it fills this room with the energy of the divine love and the divine light that is the truth for each and every one of us. Feel that experience of that light and that love coming from you and filling this room. And now open your eyes and look into the eyes of the other person. No talking, just gaze into each other's eyes. Look into each other's eyes. All right, who is seeing and who is being seen? Do you have a sense of that? God. God is seeing and God is being seen right through your eyes. So, thank you for that. You guys can get comfortable again. I want to share with you that, whenever I am going to do one of these talks, I always ask Spirit, what do you want me to say? And that's what came to me. Who is seeing and who is being seen? That was the loud and clear message I got. Ernest Holmes says, we see in each other the reflection or manifestation of the everlasting life. And each is an individualized embodiment of it. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is already in us. We are in it. It is only as we are in harmony with it that we awake to it. Just as we feel seen when we find something in common with another person, like they get us, when we remember who we truly are, God experiencing life through us, we all have the safety we would ever need to be vulnerable. When we can be the space for someone to be truly seen without judgment, we are creating safety that can be life-changing and can have a ripple effect beyond what you could ever imagine. We are all interconnected. There's only one. That means that our experiences are not isolated, but influenced by lots of things, including our own thoughts, emotions, as well as those of others around us. Vulnerability is a natural aspect of being human and connected to others. As we are able to nurture vulnerability in ourselves, we will see that outpictured in our communities and relationships. Authenticity, connection, and belonging are possible when we are able to bring our whole selves to life while creating safe and affirming spaces for others to do the same. Brené Brown, in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, speaks of wholehearted living. Let's break it down. Whole, meaning perfect, complete, nothing missing. And hearted, meaning open hearts, letting the light and the love of the divine shine through. She writes, wholehearted living is about engaging in our lives from a place of worthiness. It is about cultivating the courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done and what gets left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. And so I'd like to invite the band and the choir up, and I will bring to you the call to action for this week. So here's the call to action. Where in your life can your vulnerability bring about safety for yourself and others? Second one, identify at least one childhood memory that was the source of a belief that you created for yourself that doesn't serve you anymore. Choose a new belief and start working it into your daily life. And you can try this little practice that worked for me, which is if you find yourself feeling, gee, I feel like nobody understands me, ask yourself, when was the first time you could remember that happening? It's a great question, and it brings the memories right up. So try that out. And then finally, throughout your day, ask yourself, who is seeing and who is being seen? Remember, it's God. When you know this, you have all the safety you would ever need to be vulnerable. And so I'd like to end with a prayer treatment. If you feel comfortable, just close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath. As we breathe in that breath, we are breathing in the love and the light of the divine that is filling this space. We filled it with that light and that love. And it is permeating each and every one of us. Each and every one of us here knows exactly who is seeing and who is being seen. What an honor that is to know. And so I know that each person here, as we leave this place and shine our lights in our families, in our jobs, in our communities, in our world, we are creating safety. We are creating a sense of knowing and belonging and vulnerability. And as we create that, we feel it ourselves. And so we just take that light and we just shine that light wherever we go, knowing that it is a source of healing. It is a source of great, great change. I'm so grateful for this teaching. I'm so grateful for what we do know and for our ability to take this love out into the world with us. And so I know that everything is in divine order here. All is well. And with great gratitude, I release this prayer. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste.